Okay, I'm gonna throw something out here that I feel like it's true, even though I don't have numbers to back it up, but I feel like it's true. I'll bet you I'm not the only person in the world that wishes I could have a few do-overs in my life. There's many experiences in my past that I wish weren't there. I'd try to forget them if I could, but even if I do forget them, that doesn't mean they didn't happen. It just means I'm fortunate enough not to remember it. But if I could do some things over, I would do it. There's an old saying that goes, it's something like good judgment comes with years of experiences that often come about because of bad judgment. A lot of truth to that. But I want to point out that even when we have exercised bad judgment, we have the opportunity to learn, even from mistakes. So, what I want to talk about is one of the more beneficial days in my life. It was a time of bad judgment that worked to my benefit. It took place in about 1971. I was out running around with an old friend of mine. I'm just going to throw his name out there, Jimmy. I'm just going to call him that. Well, back in our hometown, the main street running east and west through town was called Green Avenue. And on Green Avenue, right by where the old high school used to sit, there was a convenience store that we would frequent pretty often. We would be regular customers. It was an old establishment, but even though it was 1971, it still had no air conditioning. Instead, they would keep the doors propped open, and just about the whole front of the building was those garage door kind of things that raised up, kind of like an auto repair shop might have nowadays. But they were garage doors, and they'd keep them open for good airflow, and it worked pretty good. Anyway, Jimmy and I was in my car. I parked and went in, and I don't remember what I went in to get. It doesn't matter. That's not important to this story. But while I was inside the store, Jimmy had got out of the car and he stole a six-pack of beer that was on display right there just inside one of those open garage doors. I didn't see him do it. Store owner didn't see him do it. And I had no idea what he had done until we were back in my car, back on the street, a few blocks away. When Jimmy showed me what he had, I was ticked. Now, I'm not going to pretend I was some teenage saint because I wouldn't. Back in school, I was always some kind of disciplinary problems, nothing major, but enough to, I was almost on a first name basis with everybody up there. But my point is, I had never done anything to get in trouble with the law. At this point in my life, I'd never even had a traffic ticket. And now here all of a sudden I had taken part of a theft and I didn't even know it. Well, I'm mad. But anyhow, Jimmy and I used to go down to the river and we'd just sit there and talk. And that's probably where we went on this day. I don't remember for sure, but I do remember we sat around and talked a while and we drank the beer. And a little bit later, I dropped Jimmy off at his house. But the truth is, by this time, I was plumb sick to my stomach, feeling guilty. I mean, I knew we was drinking underage, and I could rationalize that. I could deal with that. But even as a teenager, I had nothing but contempt for a thief. In my mind, you can't get no lower than that. Or couldn't, at best I knew at the time anyway. Now, to be picked up and caught drinking underage, that was almost a status symbol. But to get picked up for being a thief, I couldn't even imagine that. Well, I was smart enough to know I wouldn't be able to sleep unless I went back and tried to make restitution with that store owner. So I drove back to the store. After I dropped Jimmy off, I drove back to the store and I sat in my car till there was no other customers inside. Then I went in. I didn't pull any punches. I explained to him right exactly what had happened. And I did it without using my friend's name. I never was no rat. And even here 50 years later, I'm telling this story. And I'm calling him Jimmy, but that wasn't his real name. But I told the man the plain truth, and I told him I was sorry, and I wish it had never happened. And if he would accept my money, I would like to pay him for the beer. I didn't have any idea how he was going to react. I knew he might even call the police. I was terrified of that notion, but I was prepared for it. At least I think I was. But I was going to face up to what I had done, what I took part in. He accepted my money. A six-pack in 1971 was probably about $3. I hated to think I might have a criminal record for a $3 six-pack of beer. And it was hot beer on top of that. Well, the store owner, he was an older guy, and he proceeded to give me a fatherly lecture on the evils of thievery. And I showed him the respect of standing there and listening to it. And I'm going to tell you the truth. The old man was easier on me than I had already been on myself. But what happened next just absolutely blew my mind. He offered me a job. He said he could see in me that I would never steal from him again. Said he knew that he could see in me that I would rather die and go to hell than get caught stealing something. Well, it blew my mind. But I thanked him. I told him I already had a job. I appreciated it. And from that day forward, never had anything but respect for that man. That was a big day in my life. And he showed me mercy and compassion when he didn't have to. And I appreciated that. So yeah, I made the mistake, but I learned from it. I hope we can all do that. I hope I continue to do that. Anyhow, till next time, be good to one another, and God bless.